And we will call the meeting of the Coralville Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Dee, can you take the roll, please?
Snyder.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Wen.
Here.
Aaron's. Fessler.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
And Winman.
Here.
Okay, having a quorum, we can go forward. Thank you. You have the approval of the agenda for this evening, September 4th, in front of you. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Nope.
So the agenda will be presented this way. I need approval for that.
So moved.
Moved by Winman, second. Okay, we're good. By Gregory? Snyder, whatever. And let's see. It's been since June since we've met, so hopefully you all had a chance to take a look at the minutes and see if there are any additions or corrections to those. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved by Molly, second.
Second.
Second by Wynn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, our minutes are approved. We will open with a public hearing. A request by Kothi Investments, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
You did.
LLC for the approval of the rezoning from I3 to I-PUD-2 and the I-PUD/I-PUD-B site plan of 112 10th Avenue. So the public hearing is open. Anyone here to speak for that? Seeing none, the public hearing will be closed. So we will now consider approval of this rezoning.
So move. Move for approval. yeah.
Okay, moved by Snyder, second.
Second.
Second by Winman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a roll call on
We
that?
need discussion, don't we?
Okay.
I don't have any discussions on this particular item for this. It's just a rezoning of this area of land that you see up there in blue. It's about a 7-acre parcel. There's only about 1.5 acres of it that's developable. The rest of it is all floodway. We're rezoning that whole parcel though.
So is the developable part considered in a flood zone?
It's in a floodplain. It is not in a floodway.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Scott. Wasn't they looking at a potential well site back in there somewhere?
Water well?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of, no. I think most of those have been north of Highway 6.
Okay.
We do have sanitary force main that runs through that area, just along the north side of Clear Creek, but not water main.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, Dee, roll call, please.
Winman.
Aye.
Wilson. Aye. Taylor.
Aye.
Wen.
Aye.
Fessler.
Aye.
And Snyder.
Aye.
Okay. And now we will consider approval of the I-PUD/I-PUD-B site plan.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Winman, second by Snyder. Any other questions before we move on? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically, it's a storage units, right?
It is storage units.
And there's nothing that you want to bring up?
I will, as soon as have you opened the public hearing?
public hearings, we're done.
On
No,
the
we
site
moved to
plan?
approval.
Yeah,
We
we're
moved
into
of
approval
Site
of
plan,
the-
but now it's
Okay.
to you.
And I'm sorry, I missed the public hearing then, if you opened the public hearing on the site plan. Did you open the public hearing? Okay.
Yes,
All right.
we're good.
All right, so, one thing you have to be aware of, and this is, I put in my notes to you, is that this area is in the town center district, and so would be subject to all of the requirements of the town center district. It is in Zone 6, which is classified as service commercial, and service commercial is anything that basically is a permitted use in an I-2 zoning district, a regular I-2 zoning district, and in some of the C2 areas as well. I think I can tell you what that is, so I just want you to be aware of that. But primary use is permitted in the I-2 zoning district. Limited primary use is permitted in C2 zoning in districts of the intended uses of this development. Moreover, development of this zone must put its best face toward the highway. Architectural and landscape development considerations must comply with the district design guidelines, which is I explained to you earlier. So in the I-2 zoning district, storage units are a permitted use in the I-2 zoning district. So it falls into that category too. So the next thing you have to consider is the design standards of the town center district. And I hope you have all had a chance to review what those are and know what the design standards are. Basically, it's brick and masonry construction. So let's just go over those as well so that we all are on the same page here. I don't want to miss anything on this if I can, but basically it just says town center districts of good scale, harmonious with conformance with permanent neighboring development, residential scale architecture with moderate 4x12 steep pitch, and all new buildings and renovation and remodelings are subject to this adaptive reuse. So I'll preface some of this by saying that on the south side of Highway 6, this King's Material and this lot are the only areas that are in the town center district south of Highway 6. Town center district north of Highway 6 runs from 20th clear down to 1st, basically, to Old Town. And it encompasses everything on the north side. This is the only thing that is on the south side. So the things you have to consider is the building materials, and they're metal, they're brick, and they're stone. The use, and like I say, it is a use, it is permitted here. We don't have any other development in the town center district on this side. King's Material still sits there as well, which probably in the future will be developed as part of the town center district as well. So the question is, with everything that goes on in the town center district, and some of the questions that staff has brought up and other members have brought up, is this a good use for this area? And so that's something you guys have to decide amongst yourself. It does meet the criteria for being here. Stormwater, he is going to accomplish stormwater by doing the fee in lieu of, which means rather than do stormwater measures on this property, he's going to pay a fee in lieu of, which is so many $1,000s an acre. But it only pertains to the impervious area. It doesn't pertain to the whole 7 acres. They're bringing, the road that serves this area is a private drive that comes down from Highway 6. It serves the other businesses back there. Universal Climate Control is back there, and everybody else is back there. Mr. Cothy's intent is to improve that road. They're bringing in 8-inch water line to serve these buildings for domestic water as well as sprinkler systems in these buildings. The sewer, they're going to have sewer in the buildings. Parking is required. So if you can pull up the building design, Scott, that might be helpful to us as well.
This one? Is there a different sheet?
Pardon me?
Is there something different?
That's all I have on that. So if I would add some, there, okay, there you go, right there. So as you can see this building is all brick or stone. The blue, I'm going to assume, is the metal roof. Is that what I'm assuming there as well, is a metal roof? So if you look at the other elevations, so you're going to see plain elevations here, and then, of course, they are storage units, so you're just going to see long rows of overhead doors, because they're storage units like this. So where you're looking at the center building, on the center of this, both the north and south elevations of the center building, which is a double building, has storage on both sides, is going to be basically doors. And the end area right there that you're seeing, I believe, is meant to be the office, and that would be brick or stone. So the building on the north that faces Highway 6, although it's a distance from Highway 6, but it faces Highway 6, would be the brick or the stone. And the building that faces, or the building that's on the south that faces Clear Creek would be the same, building or stone. I'm sorry, brick or stone. So that's what the design materials are for this.
There's a little clearer picture.
Jim, will there be security fencing around these buildings, do you know?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
There will be? Okay, so he is going to secure a fence around them. And it'll be gated, so they'll have to have like a key card or something to get in that respect, I would imagine. So that's the west elevation, and that's the west elevation of the west building, I believe, or maybe all the buildings. But that's the only views I have. We do have on the end of this a better landscape plan. Scott, if you go clear to the end, he's going through some pages now that, there you go, that are the lighting standards. He's going to have it well lit. So his foot candles will spread over the whole area and light the whole area up for security purposes. This is one landscape illustration that we got, and this has actually, what he's added is the 10 trees across the back of the building to kind of shield the view of it from Highway 6. There was another one, I believe, that just had the 8 trees on it. I think staff would certainly, well, maybe 6 trees. Staff would certainly be inclined to have more trees, the better, on the back of it, as well as, maybe some landscaping in between the trees or something like that. There, you can see 4 trees on the ends of the buildings. I think 4 more trees on the ends of the buildings. There is some flower beds and landscape beds around the building. It's all concrete in between the buildings, so you're not going to see any landscaping there.
Do the town center guidelines dictate the type of security fencing that can be there, or, do you know?
No, not to my knowledge. There's no security fencing in there. I would imagine it's going to be, if you're going to put security fencing up, it's going to be some pretty decent chain link fence that's going to be at least a commercial grade with gates on it. We do not allow barbed wire, razor wire, so you won't see any of that on top of the fence, but it will have fencing there.
Is there any signage? Do you have any, did they put anything in? I didn't see anything.
I don't have signage on it now, no, but signage doesn't always come with a PUD. It usually comes as a separate sign
Okay.
package. We can request it on the PUD to see what he's going to put on signage. I would imagine the office building will have some kind of signage on it. But no, I don't have a illustration of any signage.
Do you think it will look something like quality care storage units down the road?
Well, it would be on that, yeah. It would certainly be on that, same design basically. It's just long rows of garage doors and storage units. I think there's about 130 of them here, if I counted correctly, in that neighborhood.
220 total.
220?
220.
I didn't count very well then. And Mr. Coth, if you'd like to get up and say anything about your unit, that'd be fine.
That'd be great, thank you.
Sure.
I don't think it will look like quality care. I think with the restrictions that they put on it, being in the town center district, I've had to adhere to some standards that Quality Care isn't in that same, whenever he put his up. These are gonna look really nice. I mean, the brick along the back, maple trees, there's nothing being skimped on in here. So if somebody wants to look at it on the way by, it's not gonna be an eyesore. It's not gonna look like a junkyard down there. And as they develop or improve that King's material or UCC, I think this thing is gonna fit in with anything, because my standards are gonna be just as high as what this city could ever want, down in there. I don't want a junk heap, I want a good business. I think that the 10 trees is overkill. If I'm gonna brick 100%, which was part of the discussions in the beginning, is going a percentage of and meeting the standards of the town center district, which this is not on frontage road. This is behind King's material. That's okay, I don't mind. We'll meet whatever criteria we need to meet there. So we went 100% of Building A, which is the most northern building, but to totally cover it with trees kind of defeats the purpose of putting the brick on the back of the building. It's not the cost, it's the appearance that I'm after. I want people to drive by there and say, if I'm gonna put my things in storage, I wanna pick that one, not that one. Nothing wrong with his facility, I think it's great, and he sets a standard for quality that I think is to be met by other businesses in the same industry. So the trees in the back, the landscaping, we've done everything we can to facilitate the standards that the city has asked for, and I think we've gone beyond. The trees and such that I proposed, it's really gonna be a nice facility. And as far as the fence, there will be probably some chain link, but really it's gonna be, with the gate that lifts and however it scissors or whatever that does, it's gonna be more wrought iron than chain link. I don't want chain link appearance anywhere. So I'm doing everything I can to make it something that fits in with Hills Bank, with everything else, around. And I'll continue to do that. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Dee.
Wilson? Aye. Taylor?
Aye.
Wen?
Aye.
Fessler?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
And Winman?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll open the next public hearing. A request by Dave Conrads with Genesis Church, and it is for the approval of the rezoning from R1 to R-PUD-2 and the R-PUD-3 site plan of 1246 12th Avenue. So the public hearing is open. Is there anyone to speak to this?
As you mentioned, this is a rezoning. This is located on 12th Avenue, right behind the big White House. Everybody should be familiar with what the big White House is. So they're putting another structure on a lot that already has one, so that automatically kicks in the need for planned unit development to get two structures on the same lot in a residential district. So we're rezoning this from the R1, which it presently is, to R-PUD-2, since it's only one lot development, with an R-PUD-B site plan. That's what I have on the rezoning.
Would they think about building more things than just a barn there, or, I mean?
I think, well, what they want to do is, the big White House is basically like an old farm, like a farmhouse.
Mhm.
And so they want to put a structure behind it to kind of keep that architecture going. So I think this is something they've been planning for quite some time. They've talked to us about it before. They've never brought anything to us before this point in time. But I think it's the actual architectural style that they would like to put here to give it more of the country appeal. I'm sure you've seen the elevations of it. But the purpose of this is to
I'm gonna have
have
to,
it,
I'm gonna have to close the file real quick. so-
okay.
Karen, I think we need to close the public hearing.
Pardon me?
I think you need to close the public
Okay.
hearing.
Actually, you do need to close the public hearing,
Okay.
especially on the rezoning. You can open another one for the PUD-B site plan if you want, but
Close the public hearing for now. Okay, we will consider approval of the rezoning.
So move.
Moved by Snyder,
Second.
second by Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Or do you need a roll call?
I need a roll
Okay.
call.
Taylor?
Aye.
Wen?
Aye.
Winman?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Fessler?
Aye.
And Wilson?
Aye.
Any other questions on this?
I'm a little concerned about traffic.
You really do need, we need a public hearing on this site plan as well, so you're going to have to open a public hearing for the site plan.
My concerns are, there's a lot of space back there, and I understand building the barn, and I know what they're trying to do. I'm just like, what else is gonna,
Karen, we need to open the public hearing to give the public a chance to talk on
Okay.
this. So you need to open a public hearing for the site plan.
so you want me to reopen the public hearing?
For the site plan, yes.
Okay. Public hearing is reopened.
Comments, gentlemen? Okay. And then you close it.
Okay. Public hearing is closed.
So now, your concerns.
Pardon me?
Your concerns.
Well, my concerns when I first saw this and when I looked at the plans, first of all, was traffic. I mean, 12th Avenue is busy enough, and if you're going to put something like this on here and get, that many more people that you're going to put in that area, and I understand what they're trying to do, and I applaud that, but I'm just concerned if they have a big event there, what's traffic going to be like?
Well, we have talked about that, and I think Scott can address that for us.
Yeah, I think one of the issues with traffic is most of the time they're off-peak users. So even if it is an event, that's typically going to be in the evening on a weekend when there are other events occurring at churches elsewhere. For comparison, we do have a much larger church to the north on 12th Avenue, the St. Thomas More Church, and when that proposal came in, the same concerns were raised. With their initial one driveway on 12th Avenue and a much larger congregation. In their case, they do have a secondary connection out, and actually they're working on a third connection out at the moment. This site, I think ultimately, it would be better served by a secondary connection to Ozark Ridge. I think the issue right now is this property to the west and north is owned by a separate party. And I don't know what discussions may have been had between the two, but right now they're kind of stuck with their 12th Avenue frontage. So I think we're looking at a total of 61 parking spaces.
Mhm.
So
I think that's,
the count I had, and we did discuss the traffic, but again, it's off-peak events. We wouldn't expect there to be events at 5 o'clock on a Thursday, hopefully. But most of what I've seen there is typically on weekends. So
How much parking do they have there now?
oh gosh, it's
13?
10, 15.
I think there's 13 maybe.
Yeah, it's really small,
It's not small, or it's not large.
and they may have some sharing. What's that?
Should be an additional 60-ish parking spaces?
I
or
think
is
it's
trying to-
total.
No, I think it's a total of 69,
Okay.
or 61.
Yeah, let me look. Let me
Right
zoom
there.
in here. Oh, I'm sorry. That was required. They're providing 70.
Okay.
So-
An existing of 12, okay.
Yeah.
And existing is 13, so yeah.
So is this to be used primarily by the daycare there? Is that for recreational activities? Is that what our note said?
Pardon me?
This primarily for the daycare there next door for recreational use, or is it?
For the barn? No, it's primarily, there's a gymnasium in there, and it's primarily for younger kids, or kids probably of any age, of school age, that really don't, that need a place to go after school or need a place for recreation that they don't have. And they want to make a place for those kids to come in and play basketball, have some kind of sports recreation in the gymnasium portion of this. And then there is an additional mezzanine here in this building. It's 2,530 square feet in size for use as office space or a small assembly space or something like that. But
Could there be any commercial uses, like wedding receptions take place in this area?
well, there can't be commercial uses in this residential district, no. It's residential use. So to say they can't rent the space out, yeah, they could probably rent the space out for something like that, but that would be an assembly use. It wouldn't necessarily be considered commercial.
Okay.
But, yeah, like Scott said, I mean, they're not gonna have two events here at once. So, when they're using it for one event, they won't have another event someplace else. The White House itself cannot handle events, very small events. And they're not supposed to have any assembly uses in the White House, actually, because it is not an assembly, built in an assembly area code-wise for assembly uses. So, whether, can they grow their congregation by this much space? Certainly they could grow their congregation. They certainly have the room to do it. They have a whole gymnasium to use to grow their congregation if they'd like to do that. But that isn't their intent right now, I don't believe. That being said, I don't think we can certainly guarantee that, but that isn't their intent right now.
The land to the west of the church is actually owned by the Heritage School that's next door. So there,
The land next to it?
the land between the church
Yes.
and the
That's correct.
housing, that blue piece is actually owned by the Heritage
Yes.
Christian School.
Mhm.
And I can see that they probably have some idea that they might in the future work together to do something,
They-
which, it's fine.
They have talked about actually using, if they need more parking than they have, for something to utilize some of Heritage Schools.
I see them working
parking.
together in the future.
So, I don't know what else to say. If you have any more, they are taking a lot of trees down in order to put this barn up there. They definitely are. I think they're removing something like 53 trees or something. But they are planting a few trees as well. But there is ground there. It is developable, and if you're going to put anything at all on it, you're going to have to take trees out of there to do it, so. You can, we have worked,
Elevations.
I'm sorry, Scott.
Do you want to see elevations, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and while you're doing that, I do want to say that Ori, our fire chief, did work with us really closely on this, and it meets his criteria for getting trucks in there and getting trucks out of there. They have added fire hydrants in order to put the fire hydrant in there. They have put an 8-inch water line in there to sprinkle the building. So, yes, and that is a building, and yes, it does look like a barn. It is going to be all wood. It's going to be all wood clad, composite siding clad, kind of like batten board, like an old barn. Because that's the theme they're going for, is the barn look. So it is a PUD. You certainly can express your opinions on how you feel about the architecture and anything like that, so.
Any more questions? We ready to vote? Okay. To consider approval of the R-PUD site plan. Motion, please.
So move.
Moved by Snyder,
Second.
second by Wilson.
Wen,
Yes.
Taylor?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Fessler?
No.
Winman?
Aye.
And Snyder?
Aye, sorry.
Okay. We'll now open a public hearing. Request by Dr. John Y., and it is for the approval of a C-PUD-B site plan of Lot 1, Cedar's 3rd Edition. Public hearing is open. Dr. Y. is here. Could you sign in, please?
Sure.
You know the drill.
Not really.
Wrong side of the chair again.
He's like, yeah, usually on the other side.
Well, thank you for having me while I do this. When I served on your board, the board you are serving on now, we were back in the Bowers conference room and didn't have TV cameras, but that was 25 years ago, so I admire you guys for being on TV. This is a PUD-B, and I was the first West land use for the PUD-1 that most of you guys went through, and it was a lot more work, I hope, than this one. And this is a building that I hope to put my own office in, so I've tried to make it as nice, more of a building that I'm going to be proud to own than a overpriced Taco Bell. I have my consultant, my architect and engineer here, so obviously I'm willing to spend a little money because I'm sure they're not working for free tonight, but they can answer the questions because they've been working with Jim much more than I have. So I'm just here to answer questions and am hoping for approval. So thank you.
Any questions?
I think you need to close the public hearing. Close the public hearing.
We're just
Yeah, we need to.
sure
we need-
everybody, okay?
Yeah, we need to close
All
it
right.
and have the discussion.
We'll close the public hearing then. And consider approval of the C-PUD-B site plan.
So moved.
Moved by Winman,
Second.
second by Taylor. Questions, discussion?
I can give you a quick overview of it.
Pardon me?
To begin with, I'll give you a quick overview of it to begin with. As Dr. Weiss said, this is on the same lot, actually, as Taco Bell is on, hence the PUD-B site plan. It is you can see the building where it sits there, the parking around it. On the south side, you will see a two-way drive that gives him access to Heartland Drive through an easement agreement he has with Mercy Hospital on their entrance off of Heartland Drive. There is also access on the north with the access drives that serve not only the Mercy Clinic, but Taco Bell, and then they go through to the Mercy, new Mercy Rehab Center that's being built as well. So there's two access points to his development. The third access point that you see on the north of this, clear to the west, goes into an underground garage for underground parking from the north. There'll be 22 parking spaces back under there, and there will be a surface space for 46 more cars. So there's quite a bit of parking to serve this building. The building parking requirement is made up of the fact that there's two proposed doctor offices or professional offices of that type in here, which is, the parking count to that is one space for every 6 patients, so it's fairly low parking count. The rest of the square footage is figured on professional office space, which is 1 per 300 square feet of building space left after they've taken out the 4,000 some odd square feet, I believe, for the two doctor spaces. So parking, as we have calculated, is adequate. This is in the West Land area, as the doctor mentioned. So it does have to adhere to all of the design standards from the West Land Use area. And what Scott's got up there now is the board of the materials, and he's required to have 3 type A materials from the material types in the West Land area, which is brick, stone, and metal. And he certainly meets that requirement because most of it, as you can see, is brick, it is stone, it is some composite siding, there's some metal trim on it, as well as some metal accent on it. So he has the materials that he is required to have on this. As you see that bottom rendition there, that is the north side of it, and you can see the 2 garage doors going down into the underground parking. This lot falls off from south to north. So as you're looking at the north elevation, you're actually looking at 2 stories. There is an elevator in it that goes from the parking garage to the 2nd story. And then as you're looking at the north elevation of this building, it's only a 1-story elevation along Heartland Plaza. See, what else can I say about it? I think that pretty much gives you an overview of what it is. So if there's any more, that's kind of a layout of the underground parking garage. As you can see, it's really nice because it actually has an in and an out. It has 2 doors on it, where many of them, have to come in and out the same door. So this kind of separates the traffic and makes it pretty easy to navigate around in there. And then in the corner, you can see where the elevator shaft is up there in the north, right there, and a stairway as well. So you do have a sidewalk that goes around the building from the south to the north, because there's parking on both sides. The south elevation to the building will only access the 1st floor for you. So, unless there's a stairway there that I don't know about at this time, but, so you do have that walk that goes all the way around the building to the north side of the building, where you can go in and pick up the elevator or stay on the 1st floor, whichever you choose to do.
There is a stairwell in the...
Is there a stairway in
south,
the, okay. So there's a stairwell on that side too, so you can access the 2nd floor from the south as well. The stairway won't give you handicap access. That's why we had to walk all the way around the building so you can get to the elevator. There is 1 handicap space, I believe, in the south parking lot. I can't see clearly, but as I remember, there's 1 in the south, and there's additional ones on the north elevation where you would park, if you needed to go. If they were open, you could get in there without having to go around the building to get to the elevator to the 2nd floor. So.
There's one on the north, one on the south, and one on the area.
Right. Okay. That's all I have. In case anybody wants to add anything.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Dee, can you call the roll?
Wilson.
Aye.
Wenman.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Wen.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
And Fessler.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anything else anybody has? Our next meeting is October 2nd.
We will have a meeting October 2nd. I
Okay.
got 1 submittal,
All right.
so that's all I have at this point.
All right, with
Unless
that,
something carries over, but I don't think we have any carryovers.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Snyder,
Second.
second by Wen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.